Okay, sorry about that. OBS crashed on us, and it wasn't doing anything weird before that. So, uh, I'm sorry, that interrupted you mid thought, Marty. What were you saying?
We're just. I am also a metapsychic. Andy and I have to determine whether or not I know I'm psychic or not. But basically, I can detect other psychics being psychic, so I'm good to have in a negotiation room because I can tell when other people are trying to put their thumb on the scale, and so I keep things honest in this particular kind of port of call or this kind of setup. He's trying to read our minds.
How could you know that?
But and this might strain the setting believability too quickly, so we can just abandon it if so. But like, I want her to not know she's psychic. I think she just thinks everyone can tell when people are trying to read each other's minds.
Which, as long as someone knew she was psychic and got her properly trained, I don't care if you don't know. Just that your mom or some handler knew enough to be like, she will blow out her brain. So let's make sure she's tutored. But she doesn't need to know any of the dirty specifics about it.
Yeah. And so I get to be kind of a ringer that way of...
Yeah, and maybe you're not like on any kind of registry of psychics.
That makes me think of Dune, where Paul was being trained in Mentat training and had no idea. They were just talking to him in a certain way and asking him things, and like he didn't know he was actually receiving that training.
Right.
So you maybe have a minder or someone who checks in on you.
Liz, touch base with Liz. What's wrong with your stream?
I don't know.
Well, now you're not moving.
You are again.
You're moving okay.
My video keeps like going from red to yellow to green to just like I just completely disconnected for a second.
Are you hearing all of us okay?
I can hear you like a few minutes when I typed in my comment, like the whole thing just froze on me and then I just disconnected. But now it's doing it again. Yep. Yeah, it just keeps going back and forth between red and green.
Well, you seem okay to...
Okay, there we go.
Well...
Yeah, you're not... You're every once in a while you're freezing. But it's not like dead frozen.
In between you seem to be fine.
But I can drop and re-add you if we think that would do anything. It sometimes does.
Okay. I could always try signing out and signing back in again.
Okay. Why don't we try that?
Yeah. I'll be right there.
Okay. Let me throw up the technical difficulty sign.
After these messages. Be right back
in space.
Yeah, we don't have a space technical difficulty, so Zaztam is still plaguing us, but that's okay. He probably hates space too.
Probably. You know he hates space.
We're still... I'm not going to mute us, because that's boring, so we can still... We can still talk. Yeah. That's weird.
Here she comes. Yay.
Hey.
Hello.
Everything looks okay.
Okay.
Came back strong.
Yep.
You used your catchphrase. Hey.
You can keep that one.
Yep.
Trademark.
Okay. Well, let's hope that fixed it, because let's hope Discord's not being totally weird. Okay. Did anyone else want to talk about their character and kind of where they see them in Ruby Lighthouse? And then we can start talking about rules.
Lucifer is probably... He's trying to get out of this whole spy stuff, I think. And so he's kind of trying not to draw attention to himself in that way. If he gets caught between a rock and a hard place, he'll probably acquiesced to a meeting or a discussion kind of thing, but I think that he's sort of benefited from their tutelage and is now trying to throw off the leash a little bit. That's just kind of, and I'd say like probably shooting for the lower end of notoriety. Personally, although because of his in his system, he's probably better known more locally, maybe beyond. But so he's probably just trying to lay low and figure out his own stuff. Just putting that out there. I took Exert as my extra skill, which I believe is good for the psychic stuff. I believe it can, what does it say? Roll it to run, jump, blah, 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 blah. You can use it as a combat skill when throwing things, so it doesn't qualify as combat skill for other things. I also read that telekinesis can be used as a combat skill when I'm using it. If I'm like, not that in and of itself, but if I'm throwing like a table at someone, that's my skill.
Yeah, environmentally it can be. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Just to get clarity on that. Yeah. So that was my Exert was my non-combat skill technically, but I thought that overall it would help with what I'm about. Yeah, and I play things like I'm a civilian, you know.
Okay.
The kit I got the, what was it, the basic one or something? It was like, what was it? It was something like civilian. It was like a 700 credit allowance, and I just shopped. So I have secure clothing, compad. I bought a telekinetic generator because I can do that, and some power cells. And I have a telescoping pole because why not?
Gary Gygax would be very proud.
I know. I did it. I really did it for Gary and for Sam Witwer, who was sort of resurrecting Gary as admirably, might I say.
The performance of his life.
Oh my God. Brilliant. So brilliant. You kids!
Which one of you is the fighter?
Get your flasks of oil.
Flasks of oil!
Start tying yourselves to each other. Let's go.
Spike that door!
If one of you dies, just roll up another one.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's all I want to sort of drop in about the character.
Like what level of, from down in the boiler room with the rest of the Irish to the upper levels of Hazy City and
class
techno clubs do you think you hang out in?
I think yes is the answer. Like, he'll go. Cool. I think his spying has had to take him to all sort of walks, and his education has allowed him to sort of have entree into the upper tiers a little bit. So he can slip in, hopefully, and fit in, hopefully, given the right. I think his clothing is tasteful and neutral. So he can sort of not stand out in either one.
Yeah.
Sense. Yeah, he goes for the neutral. So he hides his special where he can because it's what makes him blend in. If he gets special, then people notice.
Yeah.
So maybe he terms it in his head that, I got to get special with this one or something. Even. Yeah. His catchphrase.
And I just checked the sector map, Timothy, and you are about as far away as you can get from your home system. So
great.
You're pretty much on the other side of the sector.
Great. So I think he probably sent in his last, whatever he had to send in, and instead of reporting back, he skipped. He just hopped ship onto some other place. It was like point, put his hat over his eyes, crashed in his cabin, woke up wherever we're here at Ruby Lighthouse. Great. And he gets off and,
this is my life now.
Right. Today.
To the left. Exactly. What's your what's your most sellable performance skill? Like, what's your art?
Oh, as a creator, he writes. He can perform. He has performed, but he's more of a writer, I think. He's the
stand-up
guy.
comedian at one point. I don't know if that was just in character creation.
Oh, I don't know if
some of that was floated. Like, are you like a gonzo journalist? Are you a fiction writer? Like, what's your?
I think what he does is he creates, plots for whatever our equivalent to film or a play would be. Hollow picture, the hollow deck scenario. Like maybe he designs sandbox environments for things that are based on. In school, he was more into like the classics and sort of rendering and reinterpreting those. And now he's sort of trying to apply that to what he encounters. And he's written some things that got him into some trouble locally as well when he was at school that were addressed politics. But the sovereign of the planet's system intervened on his behalf, which is analogous to the Marlowe Elizabeth thing, because there's evidence that he was going to get kicked out of school for being on spy missions, and Elizabeth intervened on his behalf and made sure that he got his degree. So that's kind of what I reference in my backstory stuff. So it's just because for the service. So TLDR, he writes imaginative scenarios with often deliberately provocative element. He's not trying to be pretty or polite. He's not trying to make money. He's trying to make art.
Yeah.
And that's what he does. And being a spy was his job, if that makes sense. And so now he's kind of trying to figure out what he's trying to be independent and be himself. And he's trying to discover what that is, I guess. I'm wondering, like you, Marty, Freya is like everybody knows who she is, right?
Well,
kind of. Like if you know what
that can be variable. Certainly on Dark Moon, she is old news, and her mother's company. I would like to make some fundamental widget or mine some fundamental element to basically like make life support systems. Like, so it's just something everyone needs.
Big money, yeah.
Happened to be on a lodestone of it and was just kind of like, all right, we're going to name this moon after ourselves, and here we go. Oh,
right. Like the smartphone ingredient that they have in China or whatever it is.
Yeah, like, so she is probably known sector-wide among a certain Google search penchant. Oh dear. But it depends. How small a world is it that way, Andy? Like sector wide.
Very few things would be sector wide because information does not travel faster than starships. So it's a little bit like the Wild West and the Pony Express. If you want a message, you put it on a ship and it gets there.
Okay.
Which certainly means around where you're from, kind of in the core, people know who you are. And,
yeah.
And certainly people would be familiar with Dark Moon Industry, or I can't remember what you called them, but
yeah, I have to look at myself because I got too clever with it.
Like, certainly they'll be like, oh yeah, that's a part in my spaceship. Like,
right.
I look at it every day. I know that name is certainly important, but they may not necessarily know your exploits. But wide-traveled people will. It just wouldn't be something like... Because the sector is so big, it's... 1 in every 10 people probably has some familiarity with you, but it's not going to be quite like the Kardashians, where even if you don't watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians, you somehow know what the Kardashians are.
Yeah, I think I know all of their names, and I don't know how.
It's a frightening osmosis. I'm the same way.
Yeah, so there's not quite the same kind of celebrity culture, but there's a certain.
But it's still for sure, and especially planet by planet, it's. Now, people don't change. It's going to be the same still.
So I have a certain blast radius. Part of the incentive probably to move me here is I'm probably towards the edge of it.
Yeah, I just...
Where my name carries enough weight as people know the Dark Moons, but don't necessarily know every sordid story.
Where'd you go?
Yeah. But yeah, if your work upsets the squares, I think I'd like to be a fan.
Cool.
Whether we've met by stream 1 or not, I'd like to be familiar with your work.
Great. Awesome.
And also I am familiar with Bippity Boop's work.
No.
Yeah, that was my next question, is how famous is Bippity Boop for all of us?
I guess it would be how famous is the Twitch.
So the Twitch is unlike our version of Twitch. The Twitch has sector celebrities, or I'm sorry, systems. I'm gonna have to. Sectors and systems are different. It has system celebrities. So like you would go watch people from your system, but certain people kind of eventually there would be like an Olympic level event where you might be familiar with people and start to kind of get them, and there's going to be some traveling between systems, like the away team and the home team. So go ahead.
I just realized there's a good chance that my coma was during the period when Bippity Boop was going through all of her scandals. So it's possible I'm still like I haven't quite realized what happened yet.
So much in the same way where that Freya Darkmoon isn't necessarily sector-wide infamous, if you follow the Twitch, you've probably heard of her. At least, especially after that scandal, and as a fellow scandal maker, Freya, you might just be familiar with her. Or at least I didn't do that.
Who else is on page 6? Bippity Boop. Oh, I love her work.
Oh dear.
Oh, she turned on her team. That's smart. That's smart, though. You got to look out for number 1.
So there's something called I apparently get a technique because I boosted my biopsionic skill. There's something called organic purification protocols that can cure any poisons or diseases that you may be suffering. And I'm like 90% sure that if I take that, I've used it as a hangover cure for a certain heiress.
Come on, boot me better. Let's go.
I have a meeting.
I
have too many meetings.
This is the third time this month. Okay.
It's just all meetings.
Andy, I think I'm going to go full Marlowe on my backstory, and I'm going to say that I staged my death.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So, and the guys involved were in on it, and they're the ones who... So, they were my mates in the spying thing.
Oh, how loyal were they, though?
That's great. That's good for Andy.
Yeah.
It was Nick, it was Ingram, and it was Polly. Polly was the head. The sub.
Not Polly.
Polly. Robert Polly. Ingram Fraser and Nick.
Okay. Oh, shit. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So, the guys who were there.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, don't worry, mate, we got you covered. And I bail, but who knows, right?
When you work for a spy organization,
right? Who can you trust?
By faking your death.
Yeah, right. Why? Right? Bang! We're here to fake your fake. But guys,
listen, Polly's gonna squawk.
Fucking Polly.
You understand? I had to.
I have things to lose, man.
You're gonna lose him, mate.
Okay. Anything else before we talk about rules a little bit?
Well, I need to know a little bit more about Zephyr.
Sure.
Zephyr, well known on the Twitch, of course. Sorry, Bippity. What are you doing on Ruby Lighthouse as a pilot? Are you piloting for hire? Or are you just shuttling people back and forth to the planet? Are you for protection?
I think it's more of being a pilot. So I was thinking, like, she would just pick whatever job she can get to get pilots. Like, I'm figuring she brought at least one of you over to the station.
Probably, almost certainly. She's a pilot for Space Lift.
Yes.
Set your own hours. You'll make over $1,000 in your first month.
I get the feeling that of all the people here, I've probably been here the shortest amount of time, so I could be that. I could be that passenger. Want?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Well, and that brings us to Dr. Ake Manbud.
Dude, come on.
So, like, this is like
Manson is fine.
Oh, I'll get it.
I like man,
no,
but it's funny.
So you are like an actual doctor too. Like you do general physician stuff.
I like to imagine that. Yeah, basically, undergrad degree was in botany or plant science, and then I kind of branched out from there. Got my doctorate, and while I was on my apprenticeship, unfortunately, some bad shit happened. But now I'm a fully fledged medical doctor.
Okay.
Unfortunately, my apprenticeship did possibly involve going on colonial expeditions with the. Yeah, that didn't work out for me.
Now, and this might need Andy a little bit, but like, are you head medical officer on this station, or are you running a general practitioner's?
Almost certainly general practitioner. I don't really have any level of prestige, but I know hospitals, like, if you are a biopsionic, my understanding is that, like, hospitals are, like, clamoring to, like, please help us.
You got a good skill set for it.
I also took the thing that lets me use my psychic sucker without expending effort, so I can do that as many times as I want around the day. Mm-hmm. It is my understanding.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll double check that, but yeah. Now he wouldn't be any kind of chief medical officer. But certainly you would be either having a private practice, or if you want to work for the kind of lighthouse hospital, they could have sent for you. You could have just shown up, and they would have been like, "Yeah, we'll hire you." We got a lot of people coming in lately with the gas.
It's basically to finance my research time. Oh, gas lung. Would that mean organic purification protocols would be necessary to cure that?
Sure.
Okay,
Probably.
then. Well, I won't take remote repair then. Yeah.
Okay, so Zephyr is here because she can make a lot of creds on Space Lift, which I think I'm going to call Space Lanes, but
sure.
Hyperlane, but spelled all weird.
And are you here in disgrace? Are you here trying to escape the fact that you did turn coat on, or turn state's evidence on your teammates? Or are you just here because Twitch got old and you and your mech are writing your next chapter?
I think it's a little of all three.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because the thing I wanted is that Zephyr was very, just stressed all the time, and like she's only 20 years old. Like, she entered the Twitch at 15, and then basically burnt out in 5 years from like scandals and just competing, because it's like she has to pilot a giant robot, and she took on a lot of the engineering and building it and keeping it maintained like for that 5 years.
And mechs run on emotional viable teenagers if anime has taught me anything.
Yeah. He went full anime protagonist with her. So
I love it.
So she's here just to like start over, just keep her head down, which is kind of hard because I gave her like bubblegum pink hair.
Just blending in.
You're hanging out with a plant man, so
yeah.
And sorry, this might segue well into rules or whatever else, but I do believe we need to hear more about this mech before we sign off tonight.
Yes.
As the saying goes, I dig
Systemically, we should talk about it.
We need to hear about it too.
So that's what Zephyr's doing. Drake is here to do research and to help out with medical necessities on the base. Lucifer is here to kind of get away and plan the next chapter, what you're going to do next, kind of, and maybe now that you're fake dead somewhere else, you can get some of your goddamn writing done finally. I don't have to go for Queen and Country.
Exactly. Yeah.
And Freya's here because she needs to do business / redeem herself / not relapse.
With Slash, my last boyfriend, I'd have
Slash is still alive in the year 3200.
I love it.
Yes, it is Guns N' Roses Slash. It's his third body.
It was the only psychic that survived.
A wig of all that hair on top of a jar with a brain in it.
Yeah. Listen, it was a phase. We both got something out of it.
What?
We're still just really good friends.
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses
body.
I was gonna say Guns N' Roses finally put out their 5th album.
Oh my god.
Chinese Democracy 2.
Yeah.
I just realized though, my character has Guns N' Roses. That's sort of his thing.
Indeed.
So after that, let's talk about rules a little bit. We talked about some of this last time, kind of in passing, and I'm going to kind of go through it a little more systemically this time. And obviously, the system's new to all of us. We're gonna learn rules as we go.
Yeah.
People are gonna have questions. I'm gonna have to look stuff up. Everybody's gonna have to look stuff up. But I kind of wrote some of this stuff down going through the book. And there's lots of crunchy bits in there too, especially when we get to spaceships. I'm not going to be able to cover everything for spaceships because if I cover every option, we would be here for over 2 hours. But we're definitely going to talk about it broadly. So real quick, skills. When you roll a skill, it's 2d6 plus your skill. And remember, if you aren't trained, you have -1 in it. All skills start at 0. Plus your appropriate ability modifier. I won't ask for rolls for simple tasks. Like, for instance, for Zephyr to take off or land a ship under normal circumstances, that's not a check. Now, let's say if it's raining acid, that's probably a check. If it's raining missiles, that's probably a harder check. And I can both make the difficulty of the roll harder and give you bonuses and negatives to your roll. So let's say you're under fire trying to land in a war zone, but Liz describes some way that she's making this easier for herself. I might make the check harder, but give her a little bit of a bonus. The lowest check I'll ever call for is a 6. And even that's like, you're probably going to get a 6 if you're trained in it. Friends can aid a skill, which requires them to make a successful skill check of their own, but it doesn't have to be the same skill. So a sneak check might be helped with a talk roll, for instance. So
I'm covering for that kind of...
Exactly.
That's something we're probably going to do like 50 times.
Yeah, it's the example in the book, and it's probably the best example, just because, I'm going to distract the guard, you sneak by him. And as many people can attempt to aid as they want, but only +1 can be added that way. But
Okay.
It might be, well, Zephyr and Lucifer are going to talk to this guy, but what if Zephyr fails? So let's have Lucifer help her. So like they're both going to make the check so that Drake can sneak behind them.
Mm-hmm.
Drake, the infamously stealth guy.
Okay. That's skills.
The Trian.
Combat. Initiative is a D8 plus Dex. And you all PCs win ties with NPCs.
Yay.
And yeah. On your turn, you can take a main action, which is usually something like attacking, using a psychic skill, but could be, digging deep into your pack, using a complex item, or you can take a second move action, or you can take a fighting withdrawal, which is disengaging. It's you are backing up from someone. You typically only need to do that if you're engaged with someone who has a melee weapon. If someone has a laser pistol on you, you can run away from them and they don't get a shot at you because they can't hit you with it. Mm-hmm. And you're doing enough to kind of be in their face where you can kind of be like shove their gun out of their way and then run. So that doesn't take a fighting withdrawal. You can take a move action on your turn. You move 10 meters. You can take an on-turn action.
I'm sorry. The metric system, it'll never catch up.
Although
I roll.
Man. Because stupid Americans don't learn the metric system. Every once in a while I have to be like, okay, do math in my head. That's approximately 30 feet. Okay. Your on-turn action, which is something like dropping an object, falling prone, talking to someone, pulling your readied laser pistol. And you have as many of those as you want up to my discretion. If you start describing like 15 different things, I'm going to stop you.
I take all the free actions.
Yeah. Well, I drop an object and pull out a gun, then I drop that, and I fall prone, and then I roll around, and then I start yelling at them. Now, you get to do like 2 of those things.
What if it's a Shatner roll?
Oh, Shatner rolls are always free.
Always free.
In all my games.
Good to know.
You can take an instant action, which is something that can take place at any time.
Mm-hmm.
It might also use your main action.
Sure.
So, for instance, there's a rule called a snap attack, where at the very beginning of combat, someone's charging at you, and you're like, I use a snap attack. So you can act instantly. You have a -4 to hit.
You're all Han Solo out there, though.
Loose wrist Han Solo. Pew, 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 pew. And then when it's your turn, you just don't have a main action on your turn. You can still move and all your other stuff, but you've sacrificed your main action. Not all instant actions do that. There are some psychic ones that don't, and some other ones that don't, but a lot of the times they do. Making an attack roll, you roll a d20 plus your attack bonus, plus your skill, plus your attribute, either dex or strength, whichever is appropriate. If you aren't proficient in the skill with which you are attacking, you have -2 to your attack.
And you did say a d20.
D20.
Okay.
So skills are D6, it's 2d6, and then lots of the other systems are d20s.
Right. Initiative's d8, and then this now is d20.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's gonna be hard to hit stuff.
It's well, yes and no.
And that now makes more sense of my AC is 13, which would
Yeah.
be pretty hard to hit on 2d6,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
So
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say D20. So it's the D20 plus whatever your skill bonus is. Like if you're using punch, you'd roll
Yes.
a D20 and add your punch bonus, etc. Okay.
And if you have
and if you're
no-
untrained in it, it's -2.
it's -2.
Right.
Okay.
Your attack bonus, which everyone will eventually get, is half your level rounded down. So right now you just don't have anything to it. But when you
Except
level up
for
to 2,
me.
except for warriors and partial warriors.
Mhm.
Right.
So right now, I don't know who's good with anything.
I can tell you for me. But
Daniel sounds like he has some combat abilities. Timothy has some psychic combat abilities.
I have a rank of 1 in telekinesis. Everything else is, and teleportation I have 0. So that's more personal. But yeah. So,
I am strong as hell. So
Which-
I only have a -1
Yeah.
in wrestling.
So
oh, wow.
that's not too bad. And in a spaceship, Liz isn't too bad because you can use pilot to, like, in fighters, you use pilot to shoot things.
I have the most powerful psionic ability. Gun.
Damage is weapon damage plus attribute, and is anyone using a weapon that has shock?
I
Just
have
a
a
laser
1d6
pistol.
laser pistol. What is...
No, shock is only on melee weapons.
Okay.
It does damage.
Oh, that's the... You're freaked out that I'm trying to stab you?
Yeah. What the hell, man? Shoot me like a real person.
Yeah.
And there's a list of common actions on page 50. If you're so inclined, I say print it out. I probably will. It'll be good for that. Character advancement. There is a chart on page 56 that shows you how many XP you need to level. So to go from level 1 to level 3 is 3 experience points, and completing a mission generally earns you 3 experience points.
Yay.
So for hit points, you roll d6 equal to your new level and add con to each die. If the total is higher than your current hit points, you keep the new total. Otherwise, it's your old hit points plus 1. So they will always go up, but it might be shit.
And warriors get an additional +2. Or partial warrior do.
Yes. Attack bonus is half your level. I said that. Every time you level, you decrease your saving throws by 1. So you want to roll over your saving throw. So everyone will start at around a 15 or a 14 for most of their saves. So you will roll 15 up, 14 up, 13 up as you level.
Right.
In addition, when you level, you gain 3 skill points. Experts and partial experts gain 1 bonus skill point to spend on non-combat, non-psychic skills. You can spend them when you level up, or you can save them for later. Now, granted, if you save them for later, it can't be like I'm in the middle of combat and I'd really like to use this flamethrower, so I'm going to level up flamethrower now. It's out of combat, kind of when you're at a base or something, if you choose to do it when you're not leveling. Because the idea is, if you've done it when you level up, the things you have done helps you level that skill. If you decide to save them, because at higher levels it costs more to increase skills, so you might not have enough points. The idea is then you went somewhere to train them. Won't take long. It's the future. You can download some of that stuff into your brain. But yeah.
Real quick, not to bust up your flow, but I have questions. You said completing a mission, I presume fairly broadly defined, but we are likely to get, say, 3 experience. What are kind of the parameters of gaining experience? It doesn't sound like it's XP per monsters.
No,
is it similar to a milestone system? Is it like...
Yeah, I'm going to run it like milestone.
Okay.
There's a couple different options in the book. You can run it, monsters give you experience points, gold gives you, or credits give you experience points. You can do it by session. We don't have long enough sessions where I feel comfortable doing that.
Sure.
But it still would probably be every 2 or 3 sessions I'll hand out 3 experience points.
Yeah. I know at the end of World of Darkness sessions, it would be like, what did you learn? And you would be asked a question, and if you could answer satisfactorily, that was kind of an experience point. Is it similar to that, or like?
Yeah, kind of. If you complete your stated goals, I might ask you before a mission, what do you all like? This is what you're supposed to be doing. What do you all personally want out of this? Are you following the letter of the law? Are you kind of going to go off book? And if you succeed, I'll give you experience points. And if there's something goes terribly wrong, I probably won't give you experience points. Okay.
And there's no way to lose experience, right?
No.
Not until now, Daniel.
God damn it.
Don't say these things in front of him.
This is an old school game. I haven't looked at all the monsters. I don't know if anything drains levels. Space vampires.
Space vampires.
Space whites. Oh, great.
Salt vampire.
There's a chart on page 57 that explains the cost to increase skills and the minimum level you have to be to increase your skills.
I noticed
that might have answered my second question, but sorry to be so many questions. But because I know at character creation you can't be more than +1. Is that kind of how they're maintaining that limit to you can't advance too quickly?
Yes. Yeah, and there is something that will break that rule in a second. But for the most part, that is true.
Okay.
If you were a psychic or partial psychic, which we have 3 of, you have to spend at least 1 skill point on psychic skills or talents when you use them. You can save them. You can bank all of them. So if you want to, build a bunch of stuff at once way down the line, you can do it. But when you spend skill points, at least 1 of them must be spent on a psychic skill or talent.
I also noticed that we get periodic foci, and those can also be converted to skill points. Correct?
Yes, I'll talk that. Let me talk about that now. So,
Sure.
At certain levels, you get new foci. For instance, level 2. When you do, if you pick a foci that would give you a bonus skill, there are rules in there that explain you get additional stuff for it. You get to spend immediate free skill points on it. So there is a benefit of taking foci at higher levels instead of during character creation. So during character creation, you get a free skill. That's pretty cool. It went up to 0. If you're level 5 and you pick your foci, and you're like, well, that doesn't really help me too much, but I want this foci. It's really cool. Oh, it instead bumps my skill up to level 1 instead of level 0. Or if it wouldn't bump you up based on the skill progression chart, you get to bank those points, so it's cheaper to level it up later. So there's that. Which, does that make sense?
I would like
so.
to add, I noticed this rule, which I'm obviously going to take advantage of, is that you can actually exceed the normal skill cap if you do so using foci. Which is written there. You may do this even if they aren't high enough level to normally qualify for a skill level that high.
Right. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you were saying something else. Yeah. No. If you, for instance, at level 2, and you can't increase your skill level to 2 or whatever it is at level 2, but your foci allows you to do it, you can do that. But there's still a hard cap on what skills can eventually be.
Right.
And sorry, I want us to be explicit about this on stream because I also think it's helpful to all our watcher. What would be the benefit of banking skill points for later?
So eventually at higher levels, it costs more skill points to upgrade your skills. So if you, for instance, are like, if Liz, for instance, at a higher level, she's like, I'm focusing on pilot. I want to get my pilot as high as I can, as fast as I can. But I don't have enough skill points to level it up right now. I'm going to save these 3 points. And then next level, I'll have 6 points, and I'll have enough to level up pilot.
Okay. Absolutely.
Or if you're just like, if you kind of want to think about it kind of metatextually in the... if you think to yourself, I didn't do anything that would level up a skill this level. If you want to kind of look inward at yourself.
Right.
Like, I didn't earn anything. I don't know what I would pick. You just save them. If you think,
cool.
You think down the line, we don't need anybody who can repair ships, and then 2 missions from now, you need someone who can repair ships, and you're like, okay, give us a week. I'm going to go learn how to repair spaceships.
Okay, and so you can kind of spontaneously spend later, but like you said, it will take some rest. Yes. I can't suddenly be like, I know how to fix the Millennium Falcon. It will have to be
what if
some
your name
downtime activity or...
What if your name is Ray, though? Can you do it then?
She had a lifetime
yeah.
of learning.
Also, you get to free speak Wookiee.
Yeah, I don't get that one.
Bonus.
That's fair.
Maybe it's genetic. It's like being a Targaryen and knowing dragons.
Yeah, that's randomly speaking. Wookiee is probably the only one I can't defend off the top of my head, but
I give it a
Give me a
pass
day.
because I like that movie.
Oh,
That's
I
me
like
too.
that.
Oh,
I like
it
Daisy
too.
Ridley.
And I like
She can do
Raya,
anything.
So,
Ray is life.
Ray's life.
I saw something stupid on Twitter that I won't go into right now.
Okay.
Save it for table talk.
I'll save it for table talk.
Talk show.
We have a talk show.
We don't. You can also
Yeah.
improve your attributes. There's a little chart that tells you how you can use your skill points to improve your attributes. You can only do it 5 times total. So
Okay.
Just fucking pumping iron.
you might want to think about what you can do. And it might be, yeah, I just want to get jacked as shit. But there's a little chart that explains it.
And that is also level gated, it appears.
Yes.
And it's worth reminding myself, I mean everyone, it's not like every 2 points is a bonus either. So
Right.
it's 1, 2, 3, 4. That might be your stat bump, so to speak.
Yeah, it's a
You're
big
spending those 4 points.
big old
Okay.
gaps. So, and keep in mind, you might just be better off spending your skill points in skills.
Right. Yeah.
It's, if Freya wants to be a better talker, and that's it, dumping all your skill points into charisma isn't necessarily as beneficial as bumping all your skill points into talk.
Right. Okay.
Right.
It's unlike D&D in that way, where in D&D, no, you take your stat bumps. Feats are cool,
Yeah.
but get your dex to 20. It's not as important in this system.
No, it's more specialized here per se.
Okay. Did anyone have any questions about equipment when they looked at equipment? And if you do, you can always ask me via chat if you don't think of one right now.
Yeah,
I have
I've
like
looked over the rules, but I'm going to have some questions about hacking
Okay.
that we don't need to cover on stream because I'd rather get to that mech.
Okay.
That sweet mech. I need to know that boy's name. But any other questions?
I assume my bioscanner is basically a Pokedex.
I was picturing it as a tricorder from Star Trek, where it just scans and tells you it's got a bunch of blippity bloops, and somehow you can read it.
Fair enough.
You speak blippity bloop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got
Makes it
bunch
a
of
lot easier to watch Twitch.
wiggly lines, and I don't know.
You guys, Flippity Bloop lost that lawsuit against Bippity Boop
Yeah.
from not being intellectually distinct enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Same goes for weapons. If anybody has any weapons questions, they're mostly pretty straightforward. I think you guys are all familiar enough with D&D, where there's some fiddly bits in there, just because they're not quite as straightforward as a sword. It's a laser pistol and that kind of stuff.
I presume that it's probably dexterity or intelligence for shooting.
It's dexterity. You could make an argument maybe that it's intelligence, but
I don't have a boost to intelligence or dexterity, so it doesn't matter.
yeah, you're gonna
Is
be
there
punching
a
people.
systemic I take a round to aim?
There is. You can
Okay.
do stuff like that.
I thought I remembered something like that,
Yeah.
but yeah. Okay.
Oh, so if you do that, do you lose some of your disadvantage if you're not skilled?
Yes.
If you take time?
Yeah, you get bonuses
Okay, cool.
instead.
Good. That's good to know.
So it's kind of like old D&D where fighters get 2 attacks over 3 turns or whatever the hell it used to be. So fighters get 3
Oh,
attacks
God.
every half a turn.
This is why everybody likes wizards.
Okay.
Oh, you get fireball! You can swing an axe. Congratulations.
Okay, so let me pull up spaceships.
Yay.
Okay. So when building a spaceship, which is what Bippity Boop's mech has been turned into, it's a spaceship now.
Yeah.
There's speed, which is the relative combat speed and maneuverability of the ship. Over long distance, spaceships are their speed is determined by their spike drive. But in close quarters combat, something like a snub fighter is more maneuverable than a Star Destroyer.
Small things are higher decks, right?
Mm-hmm. There is the armor of the spaceship, which is different than armor class. So the armor provides essentially damage reduction. So if you have armor 5 and someone shoots you and only does 5 damage, it just bounces off your ship shields.
Soak.
Mm-hmm.
Does that degrade with successive hits? If they exceed the 5, like say if they hit you with 6, is that going to affect the 5-ness of it? Will it become 4-ness?
The essential 5-ness.
Will the essential 5-ness
I don't
be
believe
reduced
so,
to 4-ness?
but there might be weapons that degraded over time, because there are weapons that pierce through armor as well. So you can find weapons that just ignore armor.
Mm-hmm.
They often don't do very much damage, but you're doing consistent damage. You're not trying to roll a bunch to just do any kind of damage.
So you're telling me I can't use a surface-to-air missile launcher as a handheld weapon?
I'm going to say no.
Not with that attitude.
Well, you know what?
Boom.
Tell me a story about it. Let's go. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, my father trusted the surface-to-air missile launcher.
Hit points are hit points. Crew lists the minimum crew the ship needs, and then / the maximum crew it can hold and facilitate. It's some spaceships only require 1 crew. That's generally not a good idea. It's usually recommended there's 3 crew because of the dangers of space travel. Armor class is just like your player armor class. Power is the amount of free power available after the ship's basic operation is taken into account. Fittings and weapons will take some of this power. So it's a resource you have to manage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mass records the amount of free mass left unassigned in the ship's hull. So you have to have both the space and the power to accommodate things. So it's like a little, it's like FTL or any other various, grid-based inventory systems. And then hard points indicate how many weapons you can mount for the most part. And most weapons just take 1 hard point, but big ones might take more than 1. And then the last thing is there's classes of spaceship. So fighter, frigate, cruiser, and capital. And certain parts can only go on... They have a size restriction. So, for instance, let's see.
Assuming you can't put a planet buster on a fighter, for example.
Something like that.
Death Stars are a capital ship thing.
Yes. So, for instance, even tractor beams, your little X-Wing couldn't have a tractor beam on it. It would just be... It wouldn't be pulling anything. But your Serenity...
More a tow hitch where you could get pulled.
Exactly.
By
Come on.
That's what I was wondering. Is it a way to hitch a ride on a...
Yeah.
But your Serenity class Firefly, or your Firefly class Serenity, there we go, could have a tractor beam. It's big enough to maintain it and has enough ship heft that it's not just going to be pulling, dragging behind a Star Destroyer. Okay. So, okay. I am going to give you
You're welcome in advance, Liz.
1 million credits.
Are you serious?
Yes. Now,
Oh my god.
that takes into account your starship hull, which is a significant investment.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you want the free merchant, which is kind of like would be your Serenity, that costs 500,000 credits.
Okay.
I think it's appropriate to the backstory that you were once mega Twitch celeb.
Yeah.
Oh, with that kind of money, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now,
Totally.
also,
This isn't money you have. This isn't liquid cash. This is money you've spent on the mech over time.
If you don't spend it, you don't get it then. It can't be like, cool, I buy the cheapest, shittiest ship, and now I'm loaded. No.
Right.
You have 1,000,000 credits to design this spaceship.
Okay. Because, I was going to try to go for free merchant if I had the money.
I think that's... it. To me, it's just noticeably better than the shuttle.
The shuttle?
It's just... Yeah, you can get lots more stuff on it.
Plus, you can do jobs.
Yeah.
4 jobs.
Plus, that also means I can take one of the things that I wanted, which I looked up, which is called automation support, which basically you get to have a little AI crew, just a little robot boys hanging around our ship doing work.
Nice.
Those little square guys zipping around on the floor. Like
Yeah. Little mouse droids.
Cool.
That would be important because I don't think necessarily a lot of the other people are fit to maintain a spaceship.
I can hack your internal computer to play more Kesha.
Well, I'll go over the kind of real quick before we talk a little bit more about the spaceship. In ship combat, son of a bee. There we go. In ship combat, there are 5 departments. There's bridge, which will be Liz because it's the pilot. Gunnery, engineering, comms, and captain. Comms might be good for someone who can hack. Because
I can talk.
Mm-hmm. Because you guys you only have...
And it's the Uhura. You can wear the mini dress, too.
Yeah.
And
way ahead of you.
Because you guys only have 4 members, someone can double up, and then there are rules for that. You still only pick one thing you can do a turn, but the other one automatically generates a free resource which you can spend later. So it's actually not too bad. It's an interesting balancing act. It helps other people do better things, which is kind of weird because you're stretching yourself a little thin. But yeah. So and the captain really just decides the order. They can take a couple other actions, but they're like bridge goes first, then gunnery, then engineering, then comms or whatever. But yeah, so
Probably do.
So we're gonna take a free merchant.
You must have had a big mech.
I'm thinking that it's
With
more
fries.
like she outfitted a lot of her mech into the ship. Like she started off kind of clunky, and then she just kept upgrading it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was trying to figure out like how do you, because technically it should be like a fire, like a strike fighter size, but I'm like that's gonna be kind of small.
I think if you hollowed out a Gundam, you could fit like 6 people in it.
It turns out where the hollow is.
It's a lot of aftermarket parts.
Yeah.
You know what?
Customize
Actually, it makes sense.
myself. It's a
You might have
hunk.
put the strike fighter into like the gunnery and the captain, the cockpit. That makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so it's
Is there mileage in the Gundam being like sentient and occupying one of the roles?
Well,
Like-
considering I want to have its head like as a coffee table somewhere in like the galley, that might not work out.
Well, it could still work. It could still be jacked into itself. It's just,
what have you done? Why?
Right.
Why?
Why have you?
Why?
Why have you
He just
cannibalized?
screams why you
horror.
the entire time.
Turn off the voice.
Unplug that.
like-
This is a really cozy space, Zephyr. Thank you for inviting me.
It's like we're
It's fine.
it's
Trying
in
to shout
hell.
over
It's
the
like kill
robot
me
having an
now.
existential crisis.
Bastard.
Oh my god, I'm looking at all these upgrades and I'm just can't stop thinking about the possibilities.
And some of these things I wouldn't let you have. Specifically,
No Death Stars.
Yeah.
You should have said that at the start.
specifically if it says special, I probably won't let you take it. Or if it is any kind of psychic technology, you can't have it.
Okay, I was really planning on that. Like, the ones I picked out were,
Your cute AI crew.
yes, it has a bunch of stars next to it. And then I had, I think, like, lifeboats.
Good call.
Oh,
Good
it's
thing
like
to
an
have.
escape pod kind of thing.
Lifeboats.
That's good.
See, now you're planning for failure. I don't like it. Go
I was
bold.
kind of also hoping for a workshop to make more robot boys.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I see a second career for you in Robot Boys.
Maybe she's trying to improve the dating pool. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, just cargo space.
Okay. Do you want?
And then, like,
You could have a mobile. No, wait. That's never mind. Sorry, that's for users only.
Are there any weapons?
That was going to be my next question.
I wasn't thinking that. I don't know if she would actually put weapons on her ship, though, because she'd be like, why would anybody attack my ship? It's my ship. But I was
Space.
looking at,
Yeah.
there's
She'd
a
like.
thing called, oh, sorry.
No, continue. It's your ship.
How much is space piracy a concern?
Oh, space piracy is real. There's definitely space pirates. But if you're kind of used to, there are rules. Like, as a Twitch pilot, there are rules. So
Yeah.
if
Right.
you're kind of like flying through space and someone, hacks your comms and it's like, give us your ship. And you're like, no. Block. And they're like,
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mute.
Don't make me ban you, dude.
Yeah,
That's what you
yeah.
say.
Ban hammer.
And then they open
That
fire.
could be the name of the weapon, the banhammer.
But so that is up to you how you think Zephyr would see the universe. It's possible, and while space piracy is real, it's like in real life, people don't get mugged. You might know one or two people who have been mugged over their lifetimes, but it happens doesn't mean it's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
So no weapons. Is that what we're saying?
Possibly. But there I also saw this something called an ablative hull compartments.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like the text says it's like by sacrificing empty hull space in a complex system of ablative blast baffles, a capital class. Oh, maybe that's
Yeah, it's too big. Sorry,
too big.
Too big.
Okay.
Maybe like a.
Or you could.
There's a lot of stuff you could have on here because you have 1 million credits to work with, right?
Well, half
Well-
a mil now because the
Half a
half of
million,
them
and then
went right out from just picking
plus
the
the
frame.
droids. What's our budget at for your ship
Let's see.
with everything so far you've mentioned?
Or you could dump your cargo at the first sign of Imperial boarding. Saying
I mean,
Jabba has no
not
use for you,
Solo.
but
not that we.
Yeah, you guys still have about 400,000 credits left.
That's a lot.
Fuzzy
Might I-
dice.
Might I
Fuzzy
suggest
Fuzzy dice.
tricking out the spike drive?
Yeah.
There'll be a necessary plot point in 7 movies, even though no one really remembers them.
Oh my god. Not the part
Because-
I was concerned with.
A
Um,
very cool spike drive, I feel, would make it a lot faster.
Well, not if you're doing short runs, but yeah, I would say either if you're not going to go with weapons, then I'd build some speed into it.
yeah, but there. I also see.
And cloaking.
Yeah, there's boarding countermeasures, which I could basically just harden the bulkheads and reinforce hatches. So that means ordinary space pirates or more casual invaders have only a 1 in 6 chance of threatening the bridge crew.
Oh yeah, well we're coming on board. as soon as we can get through your fucking hull.
Yeah. Mind you, I do think part of that is implicit that they're already on board. They just can't get to us.
Right.
I like to
Creates-
imagine that it's
creates
not
a
even
bottle episode.
it's not even necessarily like thick plating. It's just that the series of like hallways and tubes only makes sense to Zephyr, so they're like, okay, we're in the foot. How'd we get in the foot?
Am
Just
I
imagine.
butthole? What's happening? Right.
Go back, you were keeping a map, Jerry.
Go back out. We're trying
Jerry.
again.
Oh, it's like Entrapta's castle in She-Ra. Like only she knows what it goes on, and it's full of tiny robots.
Even if it's not a lot, I do suggest investing in some kind of space gun or something that Jengas.
The
Or a
base minimum
fist.
space gun is expensive. I will say that.
Oh shit!
It's
Okay.
100,000 credits, so it does eat up. If you want to make planetary runs, I would suggest getting atmospheric configuration, because that's an important part of spaceship design. J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Not having your nasals fucking half a mile from the back of your ship, because when you warp space, you don't want to warp the people that you are charged with.
Atmospheric configuration's actually super cheap.
Oh, that's on my list, so yeah,
Okay.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's going to be important.
So
Sorry, 'cause
you said
I will punish you for that. It's a super big pet peeve of mine.
I have a question. You had mentioned no psychic equipment. I did purchase a telekinetic generator, which I will operate with my brain. What kind of an impact is that going to have? Does that item have? Like, what can it generate?
Hold on.
And I'm just wondering if that's something that could be. The only reason I'm getting it is like it's something that I could use in a pinch if we need energy and run with my brain. So
Would you have a tractor beam if you're doing supply runs?
for cargo, maybe not for
It's 10K.
Can I not spell?
I mean,
You could do tow rescues kind of stuff. You did
Yeah.
tractor beams. But only things smaller than you, I'm presuming. I think that was...
yeah, I
Right.
think that's it.
right.
But somebody's luxury little, one-person spaceship that you have to go tow.
There actually is something called, there is a specific thing, I think, that lets you, tow a thing behind you.
Come on.
Are there space cats?
Sure.
Are there flurkins?
No,
Just wondering.
that might break the system.
That might break
Yeah.
the bank, right?
Yeah.
It's like a cat with Cthulhu inside of it.
Yeah, you can eat cosmic cubes.
Pretty groovy.
Cat Thulu.
Whoa.
Do you remember where the telekinetic generator was, Timothy?
It's in the items. It's in the equipment list. So it's a personal item. It might only just be good for we're camping and we need to generate atmosphere, or I don't know what. I'm just wondering if there's any interface with this device and Zephyr's mech ship.
Oh, here we go.
If there's value in having it,
Okay, so yeah, it's just like a little battery that you kind of wind with your mind. Yeah, no, I don't.
So, but it's whatever. Its oomph is on what level? It's a small level oomph, right?
Yeah, it is power cell type
Right.
A, which usually powers handheld weapons and
Okay. Okay.
So it is because it's a little generator. So when you're on a planet, it might power some of your necessary camping equipment or stuff like that, but it wouldn't necessarily power the ship. Anything on the ship.
Okay. Cool. Just checking. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll
Leave
have
it
to
for
see.
clever applications later.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. If you come up with something
Right.
clever where the ship's lost power or something, and you're like, well, let me
Right.
charge.
And there's a way to
this.
amplify it. It's a way in to do something.
Exactly.
Right.
So
Yeah. Cool.
something clever with it. Totally,
A key.
always let people do.
Awesome.
I'll hack the life support. you boost the system long enough that we get another 8 hours out of this thing.
Right.
But first, Kesha, and then life support.
Right. We just need to be able to have the tunes on a continuous loop. Will that be possible? We'll just take turns breathing.
Repeat is free.
Right.
Okay. So all of this to say, it's 9:00. So we don't have to totally stud out the ship now. I sent Liz a ship character sheet. So if you want to fill it out and maybe post it in chat, and we can all talk about it a little bit more. But it sounds like you have a good idea of what you want. And if you have any questions about things, feel free to ask me, obviously. But other than that, let's wrap it up with any final questions, comments, concerns, and then we'll do outros and plugs. Anybody have anything they want to talk about before we do outros and plugs?
My character is deadly afraid of space. What's the problem?
Well, space hates you, first of all. So
okay.
It's fair.
That was one of our working titles.
That's why I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, you might just be screwed. And you might want to let the cold, dark embrace of space take you. And then you'll re-roll a character. Just roll up another one.
I'm going to need a new session 0.
No.
Please.
I want to play the game.
I have the game. Is that your outro, Dan?
Yeah, that's my outro. It's me whining.
I'm terribly excited about this one.
Me too.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? Otherwise, we're going to do outros.
Good.
Excellent. Daniel, anything you want to talk about or plug?
I'm good.
Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. Yeah, I guess I'm good too.
Timothy.
I also plug our collective inherent goodness, as evidenced by commentary. I'm really psyched to do this. I love our budding crew. I'm interested to see how we all... I guess another thing is, like, do we know each other, any of us, at this point? But we'll see. That's something we decide. So yeah, hooray. Bye.
And Marty.
It's your boy, Marty, back at it. Yeah, I would like to plug having a plug next time, you guys. No, I will actually plug a challenge to this group that I think we should all have one connection or near miss by the time we start. Everyone should have at least one filament wire that connects them.
I like that.
And character creations and session 0s are actually crazy funner than I ever gave them credit for. And I know that, our character creation first session 0 actually got some good traffic. And I hope more people learn something from this too, because, yeah, it's actually pretty instructive. And I learned a lot myself. So I hope someone else can too.
Awesome. I'm Andy Hatton. You can follow me on Twitter at Andy Hatton. On Wednesday, Spelljammer. It's gonna be awesome. Next week, I'm gonna talk more about Stars Without Number and do a little faction turn. So join me on Monday. And then on Wednesday, Task Force Unlikely. Just had a very interesting conversation with a certain Arcanoloth, and we'll see what happens next.
It's fine, guys.
Seems like a real chill fox.
Yeah. And then, yeah.
Isn't our first episode next Monday?
Our first episode is next Monday. I'm not doing a faction turn. That's in 2 weeks. Thank you, Liz.
Twist!
Shock, gasp. I know what the schedule is. Yes. Sorry, episode 1 is next week. In 2 weeks is the faction turn. So come learn about that with me. I found a little faction spreadsheet. I've divided them into like greater factions and lesser factions because I created too many factions. So yeah. And then we're also having a Call of Cthulhu stream coming up soon. So stay tuned for that.
A lot of exciting things.
So much exciting things here at the Laughing Dragon Inn. Join us, won't you?
Won't you?
Won't you?
Won't you?
Why won't you?
Just do it.
God damn it, Internet. Every time with this shit.
Just like you, Carol.
Just do it.
Cut the feed.